Sam and Miles had quickly excused themselves from the pizza shop. Mostly on the account of getting Sam dressed, but we all know the actual reasons. They retreated to Sam's place, and after an evening of freaking out and various other little methods to calm themselves down, that includes everything from funny freakout videos to video games, they eventually reached the point where they could talk about this calmly and rationally.
Dude, you are a giant hedgehog.
Okay, maybe not eloquently, but still.
Yes, I know I was a giant hedgehog. I was there.
Okay, just explain to me again how this happened.
Okay, for the third time in a row, I was on my way home as usual when I bumped into this girl.
This hot girl?
I didn't say that.
But was she?
Moving on. She started talking to me and she knew things about me. She knew my last name and even my brother's name. Before I could ask more, she just shoved this emerald in my hand saying it was mine and she would explain everything.
Okay, that is a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, my last name is one thing, but my brother's name, I don't really talk about him. It's not something I would even post on Facebook or something.
Did you get her name?
No, I didn't. Nor did I get her number. I know you didn't ask that, but I know you were thinking it. Everything happened way too fast. Ignore the irony in that statement. Before I knew it, I was, well...
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, that.
The fan base is gonna have a field day.
I know. They've been looking for a reason to relaunch those games, and now they have it.
Everybody knows about Sonic the Hedgehog, the game series with a cult status. Created in 1991 for the Sega Genesis, Sonic achieved a quick fanbase for its quirky level design and sense of speed. They launched a successful run for a while. Then, in a rather shocking twist, after the release of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Sega suddenly received a lawsuit. There isn't a lot of information about this. This wasn't the time of the internet, and information was kept hush-hush. But what is known is that an unknown third party sued Sega for copyright infringement or something? It's sketchy, but whoever it was must have hit the mark, because Sega stopped selling Sonic games. Even the comics series by Archie Comics was immediately discontinued after 2 years of print. There have been many fan movements to get Sega to make more Sonic games, but with no avail. The guy made cult status though, and somehow small merchandising still managed to get out into the market. Hence the plushies.
Alright, Miles. Seriously, what am I gonna do?
First, we're gonna go get some sleep. Then, tomorrow, we're gonna head out by my workshop.
You mean your garage?
It isn't a garage anymore! Ugh. Anyway, we're gonna see if we can learn from your gifts.
Say what now?
We're gonna run some tests, see if we can get you to transform again. Figure out how it works. And we won't rest until we know every secret of these powers.
Yay!
Sam couldn't really sleep well that night. Hard to blame him. Most people wouldn't sleep either. Between every police siren freaking him out and his blood pumping, he just couldn't fall asleep until late in the night. The next morning, Sam made his way to Miles' house, taking his bike there instead of walking. Not even bothering to knock on the front door, but knocking on the side door to the garage, aka Miles' secret lab. The door opened to Miles, wearing an oversized lab coat and goggles on his head.
Were you followed?
Why would anybody care where I'm going?
Government's watching me, man. They want to recruit my mind if I show them that I'm super smart. And you're wearing that flashy biking gear, so you don't exactly blend in.
Don't worry, Miles. The lab coat and goggles make you look too dorky to be recruited anyway. And hey, don't knock on my biking gear. I gotta tell you, these biking gloves were pricey.
Yeah, come on in.
Sam resisted the urge to roll his eyes as he stepped in. The former garage was tricked out with a bunch of homemade lab equipment, which is pretty impressive considering Miles' budget of... carry the one... nothing.
Alright now, do you have this emerald?
Sam slung his backpack off his shoulder and unzipped the bag. Inside was the emerald, shining as if it was in direct sunlight.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
Okay, so if you use this emerald, you transform or something, right? Well, go on.
Sam looked at the emerald nervously and reached inside his backpack, his hands hovering over the emerald. He looked back at Miles, who stood back before nodding. Sam gulped and closed his eyes, grabbing the emerald and pulling it out of his backpack, bracing himself for absolutely nothing. They waited a while to see if it was more of a delayed transformation deal, but nothing happened. The two of them looked at the emerald for a while. The shine didn't grow brighter, or fade away, or make any sign that something was going to happen.
There wouldn't happen to be a magic phase or something, right?
Yeah, Miles, I yelled Shazam and suddenly became a hedgehog. If there was a magic phrase, don't you think I would have said it when I pulled the emerald out?
Well, somehow you become a giant blue hedgehog, so you need to stop being an ass and start thinking!
I don't even know how it happened. All I did was hold the emerald and I became a hedgehog.
Miles stomped all the way to his computer and began typing.
Maybe there's a surge of energy that passed through the emerald.
At that point, Miles' voice
maybe...
faded out in Sam's mind. He stared at the emerald in his hands, only pausing to wipe some flecks of dust he saw on his biking gloves. When he finished, he stopped and looked at his gloves.
Could it really be that simple?
He set the emerald down and took off his gloves, hesitating for a moment before he reached down for the emerald. The moment his hands wrapped around the emerald, the light intensified and Sam felt a familiar burst of energy surge into his body. Miles only started to notice when his computer screen flickered. He gave a scoff of disgust and turned around to complain when he saw a bright energy pulse out of Sam's body and obscure him in a bright light. When the light faded out, Miles' eyes widened as he was face to face with the large hedgehog. Sam turned to him and blinked his unusually large eyes at him, both boys completely at loss for words.
Cool.
Well, not completely at loss. After a while of fawning over the mystical transformation, Miles set up his first test, something to get an idea of how fast Sam can move. He finished making the final adjustments on his device and removed his goggles, staring at the device with pride.
There, already.
It's a treadmill.
Correction, it was a broken treadmill. I just fixed it.
Okay, a little underwhelming, but I suppose this'll be fine.
We'll start on walking, and then we'll go faster from there.
He turned on the treadmill, and Sam began to walk. Honestly, it was probably the most boring thing he and Miles had ever done. And it was quite difficult to be bored around Miles.
So, did you have any luck searching that gang I ran into yesterday?
Actually, I did. Turns out that red hen you saw is a symbol for a gang that's called themselves Black Arms. They were originated in the Midwest some years ago. Actually started off as a cult.
A cult? For what, devils?
No, aliens.
Seriously?
Seriously. These guys believed there was a supreme race of aliens that were going to return to Earth and harvest it.
That sounds extreme.
I'm not even finished. I found this old website last night and their beliefs are rather out there. I highlighted one of the good ones, that humans are meant only to be the cattle for this supreme race. The useful men will be put into labor. Few apparently will actually become an honorary supreme race. The useful women, and this is quite disgusting, basically baby makers for both races.
So why don't we hear these guys in the news along with every other fanatic cult?
Because they're not a cult anymore. They were disbanded 10 years back. They're more of a gang now.
So what's the Black Arms doing here? I thought you said they were based in the Midwest.
They were. Apparently they're not anymore.
Perfect. Hey Miles, when are you going to turn the speed up higher? I've been walking for a while now.
Miles turned to him with an expression of disbelief. At first, Sam didn't know what the look was for, until he held up the remote control to show the dial was turned to the highest setting possible. Sam looked down, and despite the fact he felt like he was walking at a casual pace, his legs were moving like they were running. Of course, the moment he looked down, he lost his balance on the treadmill.
This isn't working. That treadmill isn't going to test your speed out well.
I noticed.
Sam called out from under the clutter of shelves.
What we need is a wide open space. Somewhere you can run and really test out how fast you can go. Somewhere unpopulated.
Sam stumbled as he stood up, stepping away from the mess on the floor.
What about New Mexico?
Huh?
New Mexico, it's got some wide open spaces that are unpopulated. It'll work.
New Mexico would work, actually, but I don't exactly have a boatload of money, so how exactly do we get there?
So about roughly 10 minutes later, Miles Prower was adjusting his sun cap as he stared out at the empty desert of New Mexico. Taking another swig of water, he braced himself against the arid air, which was better than humid air, but still. Beside him was a fold-up table and several pieces of equipment, all of it hooked up to this super-amped solar panel system that would make all of Greenpeace, well, green with envy. You see what I did? Never mind.
Where are you?
As soon as he finished that sentence, a burst of dust appeared behind him, and Sam, still in his hedgehog form, appeared, carrying a bunch of lab equipment on a trolley, whose wheels were burning bright red.
Man, do you know how annoying it is to pull these things at super speed?
No, but I bet it's awesome.
Whatever.
Sam moved the stuff aside, taking some water from his own water bottle as Miles went to work on assembling the stuff.
What do you need all this for?
Some of this is recording equipment, so I can measure your speed, but the rest of it is needed for the test. Oh, by the way, put one of these in your ears.
Miles handed him a small listening device.
In case I need to get a hold of you while I'm driving that thing.
He gestured to the large box sitting a few ways off. Sam looked at the box and back at Miles. While he was busy hooking everything up, Sam went over to the box. He unlatched the container and slowly opened it up, only to slam it back down out of fright.
Whoa! Miles, are you freaking kidding me?
Sam, calm down.
Calm down, that's a drone! That's a drone in the box! You built a drone?
It's not a drone, it's a machine with a jet engine that can fly and record you as you are running.
Oh, good. For a second I thought it was, oh yeah, that's what a drone is!
Okay, fine, it's a drone.
How do you even build this thing anyway?
Well, I could tell you, but should the day the CIA catches me, you would be an accomplice to my workings.
I hate you sometimes.
Uh-huh. Anyway, I'm all ready to go.
Miles started up some of the machines and took out a remote control, opening up the box to show a flight drone with the words Tornado X on the sides. He set it on the makeshift stand and stood back.
So, basically I just run, right?
Yeah, go crazy. I'll just follow you and measure your speed.
Can you pilot that thing?
I've had practice.
You sure that thing will keep up?
Miles pressed a few buttons and the drone's engines kicked on.
Guess we'll find out.
Sam smirked at the challenge and got on one knee, hands pressed to the ground like a sprint runner. He took a few deep breaths, nodded at Miles, and shot off running. The drone's jets kicked on and shot off after him. Miles watched through the screen on his remote control, checking at the station setup to make sure the machines were running correctly.
Alright, Sam, show us what you can do. Increase your speed ever so often. Don't be afraid of leaving me behind.
Sam was nothing but a cloud of dust through the red sand, keeping in a straight line so Miles wouldn't lose him. The drone was flying low and behind him, but managed to keep up. Sam grinned and pushed himself faster. Soon the drone was falling behind. Slowly though, as Sam was only increasing his speed every so often. The longer he ran, the more Sam got excited about how fast he could go. Every so often, if he saw a rock formation, he would run to it and leap off it, giving himself some airtime.
Sam, there's a cliff ahead!
Even as Miles' warning came through the earpiece, Sam could already see it. He could see the ledge and he could see the cliff opposite of himself. But he did not slow down. Instead, he picked up even more speed and leaped into the air, sailing over the gap between the two cliff ledges.
As Tom Cruise once said, I feel the need for speed.
Miles gunned the controls faster for the drone. Sam saw the drone pick up speed and he pushed himself even faster.
Yeah, come on, let's do this!
Soon the two objects were unstoppable dust clouds in the desert. Nothing in their way, nothing to stop them, just wide open space and the thrill of speed. However, as the two of them were testing the limits of how fast they could go, New York City was having their own things going on. Everybody down on the ground! Now! Every resident of the small diamond store dropped to the ground as the black arms stormed into the store, guns shooting off into the roof and aimed with intent to fire. Sam's little event yesterday did nothing to slow them down. Alright everyone, I want you all to be intently looking at your belly buttons. Now we are not greedy bastards. You can keep your apparels, but make any sudden moves, and you will be an example for the next guy. The black arms smashed through all the cases, grabbing jewels and watches and everything they would need to fund their operation for years to come. A simple get in, get out, take the money and run. But when the adrenaline is high and you feel like you're in charge, mistakes happen, and violence becomes imminent. Some of the black arms were wanting a little bit more than the pretty baubles. They wanted the ones wrapped around someone's neck. One of them grabbed an older lady and began shaking her. Give me the damn pearls, lady! Come on, are they more important than your life?
Leave her alone!
The black arms thug turned to someone so out of place he was wondering how he didn't see her. She was wearing something out of a Native American reenactment, and her dark raven hair was even braided in a similar fashion. In her hands, though, was the most beautiful emerald he had ever seen. It was similar in size and shape to the big emerald on display. In fact, it was the one on display. He turned to the case and saw it was gone. He didn't remember taking it, so this girl either stole it or bought it. Either way, it would be theirs in a few moments. Oh, you think you're a hero, huh? Think we're gonna cower and stop because you ask? The thug got real close to the girl's face. What are you gonna do to stop me?
You have 5 seconds to step away from me before something bad happens to you.
Oh? What are you gonna do?
Fine. First was a freebie. But if you still do not move in the next 5 seconds, I won't stop him from breaking your arm.
All of a sudden, one of the customers wearing a dark hoodie reached out and grabbed the thug's arm, crushing down on him with unnatural strength.
Oh dear. It took me 5 seconds to inform you. My apologies.
Tikal flashed the kneeling man a false smile. The other black-armed thugs quickly noticed one of their own screaming in pain. Usually the first to react was the first to win, but in this case the first to react was the first to go down. Dart threw the man at the would-be attacker. The two of them crashed against the stands. Dart, however, was forced to dive behind cover as the others began to open fire at him. Screams cried out as bullets riddled the cover spot where Dart ducked behind. The Black Arms thugs stopped firing when they saw Tikal holding the emerald. Fueled with rage and blood, they spun their guns to aim at her. Tikal smirked and dropped the emerald. For a moment, they thought she was giving up. Except just like last time she dropped the emerald, she vanished from sight. And distracted, like last time, Dart took the stand he hid behind, ripped a chunk of it from the ground, and threw it at the thugs. One of them crashed to the floor instantly. The other had flinched long enough for Dart to run over and send him crumpling to the ground with a single punch.
Tikal, let's go.
Tikal appeared again as she grabbed the emerald. Following Dart, the two of them ran out of the store and across the street before its patrons could stop them. They kept going, crossing streets and alleyways until Dart finally slowed down.
Alright, let's stop here.
Why is it every time we get an emerald, it involves us running and resting in an alley?
My mistake. Next time we'll hide in a pizzeria.
Oh, ha ha, funny.
Tikal sat down and sighed, looking at the emerald in her hands.
You were hoping he would show up? Be the hero material you think he is?
No, he's not here. He's in New Mexico right now.
Wait, New Mexico? Why?
Training.
Training? How did he get to New Mexico? Wait, better question. How do you even know this?
To answer both questions, the emeralds are connected to each other. I can know what he is doing as long as he is using the emerald I gave him. As for how he got there, let's just say jets have nothing on him.
Super speed. Of course. I really hope you know what you're doing, Tikal.
Tikal withheld from answering him, even though in her own mind she herself was hoping she made the right choice.
Angel Island.
Green Hills.
What do you have for me, Agent?
I narrowed my sights to New York as you asked. followed the ambush CIA wreck and went from there.
You better have found something.
I believe I did. About 5 minutes ago, a robbery occurred. The culprits were the members of Black Arms. In the middle of the robbery, 2 individuals in their mid to late teens single-handedly defeated them. One of them had their hands on one of the emeralds, and when she dropped it, she vanished.
Vanished, did she?
Yes, ma'am.
Very well. Maintain surveillance.
Will I expect a team for an operation in the city?
No. The disappearing girl won't be enough. We need one of them to change forms.
Then perhaps I can assist with that. Perhaps you have noticed the internet exploding with images of her.
I saw them, Agent. It's taking everything we have to keep them as rumors and tabloid crap.
That is not enough for an operation?
That is classified, Agent. Maintain surveillance. I will get back to you.
General Stone turned to a control panel and pressed a button. Instantly, an image of Dr. Robotnik appeared, fervently working with engineers over a set of blueprints.
You seem to be making progress.
Progress is merely an understatement. Try strides. I have already isolated the type of material the emerald is emitting. All I need to do now is build the device that can receive this particular signal.
How long?
With the crew and the materials we have? A week. Maybe 2 at the most. Oh, this is quite exhilarating. Within 1 week, we could very well be hearing the voices of gods and deities. I have never been a spiritual man, General, but now I feel that we are at the biggest threshold of science and religion. Imagine the knowledge, the spiritual piece,
Just get it done, Doctor. I will get back to you.
She cut the feed on the screen and turned back to her original intention. The emerald sitting on the stand, glowing oh so faintly in the dimly lit room.
What secrets do you hold? What knowledge can you give me to finally tame these freaks?
Nothing but silence, as if she even expected it to talk back. She closed the doors to the vault and walked off. In the darkness of the vault, the emerald sat in its silence. Unless you had sharper ears, that is. If you did, you could hear the faint hum. And if you had ears even sharper than that, you could hear the very faint.